All right, guys. You made quite an extraordinary album, I think. The Crane Wife is partly based on an old Japanese tale. First, can you give me the short version of that story?
Yes. The story is a peasant is out walking along, and he finds a wounded crane, and it has an arrow through its wing, and he saves the crane by pulling the arrow out of its wing and sends it off on its way. Then a couple days later, a mysterious woman arrives at his door, and he has her in, and they actually end up getting married. And then what happens is she starts weaving cloth for him to sell at the market. He's not a rich man, and but she does it on the condition, she weaves it on the condition that he never look in at her while she's weaving. So she's behind closed doors weaving this cloth. The cloth is very beautiful, and he does well with it at the market. And one day, after it goes on for a while, he decides he must see her weaving. He can't take the mystery anymore. And he slides the door across, and she's in the form of a crane, and she's pulling feathers from her wing and weaving it into the cloth, which is why it's so remarkable. And he kind of ruins everything a little bit, and she flies away. The spell is over, and she flies away.
And that's the ending.
Kind of, that's it.
Yeah. Okay. Where did you find the story? Who came up with this?
I found it. I was working at a bookstore in Portland, and I came across it as a kid's book, actually, a picture book, and thought it was a really beautiful, striking story, and thought it would make a good song.
What makes it so interesting for you?
I don't know. It's kind of inexplicable. I just thought it was very interesting. Kind of it felt it had a kind of an ancient feel to it. So I just thought it would make a good song.
Yeah. Okay. I think the story is about greed, partly. But what does the story mean to you?
Well, I don't think that there's a really clear lesson to be learned. I think it has something to do with, you know, the true identity of the people closest to you, and how it may be best to keep that kind of a mystery. That's, as far as I can tell, that's what that's about. I mean, that's the prevailing lesson. So, other than that, it wasn't the lesson, you know, or the moral itself, or that brought me to it. I just thought that it had a real kind of sweet sadness to it that I thought was beautiful.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of sweet sadness in your music, I think. What's in that the tragedy that you like so much?
I don't know. I just think, well, a tragedy is obviously more interesting than you know, non-tragic events. I mean, that's kind of how we learn. You know, we learn from tragic events. You know, it's news. It's interesting. It's compelling. It's just the way that the human mind works, it seems like.
Okay. Yeah. But the story about the Crane Wife, how did you make that? How did you make that story yours? Or what did you change? What did you do with it?
Well, it was a challenge just because I wanted to, you know, tell the story, make the story clear, but I also knew that I didn't want to literally translate, you know, the entire story. There had to be a certain amount of, you know, kind of you're just given an impression of it. It has to be told in kind of a poetic form. So I feel like the first part is more of a literal telling of the initial events. Second part, you go more into the brain of the main character, and then the third, I think, is entirely kind of an inner monologue of the main character, not so much a telling of events.